Hey guys, good morning. We are back with another video. So today's topics will be CSR, corporate social responsibility, and HELP. That's the India's hydrocarbon exploration and licensing policy. Okay. Moving on, let's move to CSR first. As you know, this stands for corporate social responsibility. You know that companies, whatever work they do, they take up the responsibility of that goes beyond their economic valuation. They have to work for social causes, and many a times their work interferes with environmental factors, ecological factors, and also is in some way deleterious to the aspects or prospects of people's living. So now what the government has come forward with this policy, which many other corporate bodies have also encouraged, wherein certain companies will keep 2% of their average profit for social or near to social purposes. Now, not all companies will be in a position to chunk out this large amount. So here also you have to note that the slab has been kept as greater than 500 crore. This is the net worth, or their revenue, that is yearly revenue, should be greater than 1000 crore, or their net profit, that is annual, should be greater than 5 crore. So companies which fit in this description have to spare 2% of their profit. That will be calculated as an average of the last 3 years, and that will go to the social or ecological sector. Now you also have to note that this model has to be integrated into their business model. And government is regulating this aspect. So if there's a companies which are backing out, the government will take them to task. Okay, these were some of the pointers. At max, this will come as a 10 marks or 5 marks question, so you need to know something about CSR. So next we'll move to HELP. As I told you earlier, HELP stands for Hydrocarbon Exploration and Licensing Policy. Okay. So you need to know about India's reserves first. You don't need to go into the facts and values here, but still, to give you an idea, India has 37 million tons of oil reserves, and that means of oil reserves which we are currently exploring. Okay, so with this meets about 20% of our oil needs, and rest we import. So India is one of the largest importer of oil, and similarly India has 32 billion cubic meters of natural gas which is currently explorable, and this meets 50% of India's needs. So India is also, I guess, third largest importer of natural gas in the world. So the conventional exploration policy of India, obviously set by the government of India, here, like whichever company comes forward and wants to explore the seabeds, the seashores, or the gas or oil fields, they were asked by the government to go for profit sharing model. This was in accordance to the earlier exploration that was known as the new exploration and licensing policy. So they went for profit sharing, and there were some delays and some confrontations between the government and these industries. Then again, the government in the earlier policy, that is NELP, it did not distinguish between shallow field and deep water fields. So that was also an issue, because it's much more difficult to explore in deep waters than in shallow waters. But the returns for both of them were same. So that was also a limitation of NELP. Then again, the production price after all the problems, the private entities are able to explore the fields and draw out oil. And what does the government tell them? It tells them that the production price of gas will be determined administratively. So again, that was an issue, and many other international oil exploration companies were not coming to India. So what HELP does is fulfill all the conditions of ease of doing business. And this time we are talking about oil and gas sector, exploration sector. Okay. So what happens in HELP is this. It makes India investor friendly in terms of its gas and oil resources or reserves. So its objective, the greatest objective, is to doubling India's existing production capacity, that is oil and gas, from 80 million to 155 million metric tons by 2022. So this is something you got to remember about HELP. It's the objective that the government is looking at. Then again, okay, so the second objective here is to identify areas where oil exploration is possible. So obviously these are objectives, and it's not possible to achieve these objectives unless they have something chalked out as a plan. So the plan is here. Firstly, to make it easy for international companies to come to India and explore oil and gas fields, they are providing one license for all types of hydrocarbons. So what it means that earlier, if an oil exploration company is coming to India and it wants to explore oil, it will have to get a separate license if it wants to explore gas also, natural gas also. So under this HELP, they will just need to apply for one license, and that will do. Secondly, it offers an open acreage policy. So earlier the trend was that if a company comes, then it wins a license, it wins a bid, and then it has to explore oil or gas in the area in which it has been allowed with the government and cannot foray into any other areas. But now, under this open acreage policy, the company itself can find a suitable area for exploration, and then it can ask the government, okay, you can now open online bidding for this, and then it can bid and win. So it also gives an opportunity for oil companies to have other incentives. So now, as I earlier told you, HELP allowed profit sharing model, but now HELP is shifting to revenue sharing model. This is something that international companies would definitely want. So this is what HELP provides. Also, now the prices of oil which is explored will not be determined administratively, but rather it will be market factors that will determine the prices. Okay. Also, as I told you earlier, the onshore and offshore exploration times for each license has been increased from 7 to 10 offshore for onshore, and for offshore it has been increased from 8 to 10 years. So this kind of wherein the license time has been increased. Like you will get a license for onshore areas now for 10 years, and for offshore areas now for also for 10 years. Okay. That was all for today.